My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, we have the head coach of the boys basketball program of Canton, Craig Archambault. Coach Archambault, thanks so much for being able to come on today.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. It's nice to be able to kind of get away from this quarantine a little bit, as both you, myself, we're stuck in what feels like a very small, hole almost. We have nowhere to go.
Yeah, these Zoom meetings, they give us something to do to occupy our day.
I know, right? But hey, let's talk some basketball. Before we get into what you've done with Canton, and you and I were just discussing back and forth about what you've been able to do to help resurrect the program. Yep. I want to go into what you were doing prior. Now, you played at Conrad. You were an excellent athlete there. You were able to play at Drew University from 2001 to 2005. You were a captain as well as a starting point guard. Talk to me about kind of what got you into playing basketball that led you to both Conrad and then going to Drew University.
Cool. I grew up in West Hartford, Connecticut. I think what got me into basketball was my father. He loved the game. He played his whole life, and he was actually a coach at Conrad High School, an assistant coach to the head coach there, John Beignet, who was a teacher of mine and my high school coach. And I think those two guys definitely sparked my love of the game. And it was the only sport I played in high school. Did it from sun up to sundown. I'll never forget, my dad got me a membership at St. Joe's, now the big time, St. Joe's University in West Hartford. And, I lived in that gym with the AD there, Bill Cardarelli. And, I just, loved the game. And I knew I wanted to do it. Went on to go play at Drew University. It was a great experience, had great teammates, great coaches. It was a great school. It was right outside of New York City. So I studied business, and actually my first career, I was a stock trader in Wall Street after studying business. So before even thinking about teaching and coaching, I thought I wanted to be a hotshot broker, which ended up going a little differently. But I'd say the love of the game started early for sure.
And you being an economics major, you want to put, if you're going to put money in a stock, you want to see it go up. Now, I know right now with stocks, maybe not the right thing to talk about, but we'll talk about what it was back then.
Yeah.
Put a lot of your effort and a lot of your, your money into kind of being a coach. And it's, I think, worked out for you. I mean, you were an assistant coach at Western New England, and then you kind of were able to see that, hey, there's an opening at Canton. Maybe I can dabble in this. And like you mentioned prior to coming on, I need to find myself and put my foot somewhere and kind of build something. And you have in Canton.
Definitely. I mean, I ended up leaving New York, and, I knew I missed basketball. I wanted to teach. I wanted to coach. I wanted to be involved in the game. And I went to Central for my teaching certification in PE Health. But while I did that, like you said, I was an assistant at Western New England for a guy named Chris Agolia, who was one of my college assistants at Drew. And it was my first kind of introduction into coaching. And, for a little bit there, I said, oh, you know what? I'd love to be a college coach. I knew maybe, I ended up kind of settling in on high school. And part of that reason was because of my high school coach. Coach Beignet, John Beignet, was a big time mentor to me. And I saw all the lives that he changed throughout his whole life. And, he was a PE and health teacher. And I said, you know what? I could really make a difference in the lives of kids as a teacher and as a high school coach. And, I ended up getting my certification for PE Health, ended up getting a teaching job in West Hartford. And that's when the Canton job opened up. And I said, wow, these are perfect. It's two different districts, but they're close by to each other. I can manage it. Gives me an opportunity to be a head coach and build my own program. And it just, the timing was perfect into getting into teaching and coaching right away. It was awesome.
And going right to a program in Canton, who now in your first 8 years full as a head coach, you've made both the NCCC as well as the state playoffs every single year. And I think that in and of itself is impressive. But I think really what I want to talk about is kind of your first year as a head coach with the program, because I'm sure just like it was an adjustment for the players to get used to you as a coach. I'm sure for you to be as a head coach to kind of go through now the growing pains of, okay, now everything is on my shoulders. I don't have, anybody else. I'm the head honcho here.
Mhm. Yeah, that was, you know what, it seems like a long time ago. 8 years, 9 years, something like that, 8 years. But to me, I was taking over a program that was 3-17, but they had history. They had, good players. They made deep tournament runs. They were well coached. So it was just kind of about instilling those everyday principles. I'm a big believer on the little things. How you conduct yourself in practice, how you treat your teammates. When a sub comes off the bench, everyone stands up. So it was about just building a culture and a way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say, I believe the magic number every year is 8 in Connecticut. 8 to states. You got to get 8 wins, and that was our goal that first season. We need to get 8 wins to get to the state tournament, to get to our conference tournament, and to start to build a trajectory. I believe I started 1, maybe 2 freshmen that first season. They were young kids that I knew coming into the program that were very talented. Mm-hmm. And, 1 ended up being a 1,000-point scorer in our program. 1 ended up going on to Endicott College to play college soccer there. And so it was just it was a fun year. And I think we got 8 in the last game of the season that year to get us to the state tournament. And that was huge. It was, I think, gave the kids, something to pride themselves on going forward.
And I like how you mentioned how you wanted to build the camaraderie. You wanted to make sure that you had the kind of reputation. I think that's something where in any program, no matter if it's high school, prep, college, pros, you want to be able to build that reputation so that way people can see, hey, I like how this coach runs a program. Maybe I should go there. Now, going back to your first year again, I know we've kind of talked about it a lot, but I'm just so intrigued about coaches in their first year because they're trying to put the bricks to be able to build the foundation. Was it hard for you to be able to, in some ways, kind of, because I know your teams are about defense, and I love that. Yep. Was it hard your first year to kind of instill in those players, hey, we're going to be a defensive team, defense, defense, defense?
Oh, it's extremely tough. One of my assistants, who was with me for 7 years, just took the head job at Coventry in our league. And I told him, he would call me and kind of bounce things off me. I said, the first year is going to be your hardest year because you have change is hard for anybody. But I think it's especially hard for juniors, seniors, especially seniors, because they're upperclassmen. They're used to a certain way of doing things for 3 years. And when someone comes in and completely rocks the boat or changes things, it's hard to get them to buy in. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was perfect. There was a lot of butting heads. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of, well, why are we doing this? And I think you need to really explain to the kids the why, the hows and the whys, especially with today's kids. I think it was just about, again, like you said, those foundational principles. We're going to defend, we're going to rebound, we're going to pride ourselves doing that. We're going to pride ourselves on practicing hard, on playing hard, all those kind of things. I think I'm still trying to build them. And then, once you have them figured out, well, here comes a new group. Now you got to do it again with the freshmen. So, I don't think it was just that 1 year, but I mean, it definitely helps when you start to see success and they get to look up to kids. And then those kids kind of build it on the way down. So, it has gotten, I will say, a little bit more streamlined the last couple of years. But, that first year, it was it's always the most challenging, I think.
And you mentioned the streamlining about how everything has been up and up. Every single year, the program has been getting better. You mentioned, or we could talk about how I think in a lot of ways a pro team, you can tell that when they're close to being on the brink of excellent. Yep. Because maybe a past season there were glimpses, but just because of youth or inexperience, it wasn't there. We could talk about the Chiefs who just won the Super Bowl. Yep. We could talk about a number of baseball teams. But the reason why I bring that up is, was there a year, maybe it was year 2, was it year 3, was it year 1, where you felt like, you know what, we're very close to being a good team. We just need time.
Definitely. I think, like I said, we won 8 games in my first season. And then I think the next 2 or 3 seasons, we were like 13-7, a couple of years back to back. And then the year where the 2 kids I talked about my first year, I started as freshmen. So that group. So I'd say my 4th year is where it started to change. And we had a great senior class that year. We had a kid named Cameron Lang, who was a 1,000-point scorer for us. We had about 5 or 6 solid seniors. We had a junior, Ethan Burke, who was a really good player for us. And then we had a sophomore kid, Luke Brown, who filled out our starting lineup. And we were 14-6 that year, but I'll never forget the 6 losses, except one of them, 5 out of 6 losses, we threw away in the final minute of the game. So we had leads, we were there, and we just kind of gave it up.
You didn't sleep, did you?
We were on the break. And I said, use these as a learning experience. We would watch the film. Mm-hmm. We would dissect what you did. And I said, this is going to pay off come the tournament. And in the NCCC tournament, we ended up making a run to the finals. And we played East Windsor, and we lost on a half-court buzzer beater shot, which was tragic. But it was a phenomenal moment in our program. We ended up being 17-8. We made a run to our conference championship game. And I think we lost to Westbrook in the state tournament, who ended up going to Mohegan. But that was the year where I said, okay, we've learned. We're there. We've stepped over the hump from being 12-8, 13-7, middle of the pack to being at the top. So it was.
You mentioned the name Ethan Burke. Is he related to Josh Burke?
He is. He's his older brother.
I figured. And then I saw also, too, before I get into the game itself, because I really want to talk about that championship game. Are they the Rose brothers, Matt and Jack?
Matt and Jack are twins. So here's the deal. We got a lot of siblings in Canton.
I was about to say, because the one thing I noticed, because I really wanted to make sure I was prepared for this interview. And the one thing I noticed with a lot of the players, I was reading consistent last names. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Archambault getting a lot of brothers and twins on the team?
Canton is a small town, and that's something I'm really proud of what we've done, it being such a small town. But, I mean, it's a basketball town. You look at our girls' team, you look at what we've done, it's a basketball town. But in terms of the brothers, Matt and Jack Rose are twins. We had Cam Lang. And then Grant Lang, if you ever saw his name in there, he was a heck of a player for us. They're brothers. Ethan Burke, Josh Burke brothers. Mm-hmm. We had a Nick Ambrose, Thomas Ambrose. We had Mansers. I mean, we've had tons of siblings. It's been cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not? You could say, like, hey, I coached your brother. He's better than you. And then that motivates the younger brother.
Well, I let them do the talk, and I try not to piss them off with that stuff. But they definitely do it.
And it's fantastic to be able to see siblings, both young and old, to be able to come through the program. And I think looking at the championship game in particular, because that's something I really want to be able to discuss with you.
Definitely.
You mentioned how first 4 trips to the NCCC, you were not able to win that final game. And up until the win against Granby, it was one of the few programs that had more state championships than they did conference championships. Yeah. And I think – going into that Granby game, you played some pretty, maybe not tough games by score, but I think going into that final game, the team seemed like, just from what I read in articles, but also just by video I was able to watch, they seemed like you had them locked in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, speaking like we've been knocking on the door. I mean, in 2016, mm-hmm. Or maybe I'm wrong here on the dates. 2017, 2018, we won the regular season championship, but we lost in the semifinals both those years. Actually, both years to really good classical teams. We lost to Ellington the year before, and so now this year, we had a great group of seniors that saw all those losses and were a part of it. Mm-hmm. And, one of our big goals, I think we didn't focus on the regular season which we had a great regular season, but one of our biggest goals was to win the NCCC tournament. And that came from the kids. It didn't come from me. Our kids really wanted to lock in and win the tournament. And we had a great regular season. We lost to Granby at their place. They're in my opinion, they're the top dogs of the league. I mean, they've Coach Hansen there, he does a phenomenal job. They've won a state title. They were at Mohegan. They lost to New Canaan the year before. I mean, they run a top-notch program. And we lost to them at their place. And then we lost at home against a good Summers team in triple overtime. And that game could have went either way. So I think we were prepared for the tournament. I think the way it looked out, us getting Summers in the semis was great because, we had a chip on our shoulder. We wanted to go to their place and show that we're the better team. And then we ended up drawing Granby and getting a home game, which was awesome, to have a home game. So I think our kids were definitely motivated and dialed in and wanting to show to the league that we were the best team this year.
And, just watching the video, being able to read the articles that I was able to find, it looked like from tip that the game was, close back and forth. I know that in games like that, a championship game, no matter if it's high school, pros, et cetera, especially as a broadcaster, I always like to point out there's usually at least 3, if not 5 particular parts that you can say, maybe this was the turning point, maybe that was the turning point. The 3 that I have written down here, I want to go over with you.
Cool.
The first one is when Granby was up 16-15 early in the second quarter, and then Canton went on a 10-0 run. Talk to me about what was your mindset when you saw that, okay, Canton was going on a little bit of a run there?
Yeah. To be honest, and that goes really to the environment. I mean, it was Granby, Canton. I guess you could say we're a little bit of rivals. Kids play football together.
A little bit.
A little bit of rivals. And the gym was mopped. I mean, their crowd, Granby's, is probably the toughest place to play in the league. Mm-hmm. And, Canton's a small gym. I didn't coach that night. My kids couldn't even hear me. It was that packed and that loud. It was the loudest environment I've ever been in. Any high school, college, it was unbelievable. So on the floor, I mean, those are our guys, my guys, they were locked in together. And it was their night. And, they're a tough group of kids. I mean, they've been in every situation. They're resilient. So, when Granby made that run, I just let them go. I mean, it didn't get out of hand too much. They responded. I forget the exact plays. There might have been a couple back-to-back threes in there. I just believed and trusted in my kids that night.
Now, before that run where Kent went on a 10-0 run, was the morale the same as it was after they went on the run? Because it sounds like to me that no matter when they were down or up, that the energy level was as high as it could be.
For us?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and we talked about that. We said, it's a championship game. Don't get too high, don't get too low. But when you have big plays, use those as excitable moments. From the bench guys to the guys on the court. High school basketball is a game of runs. It's a game of enthusiasm. It's a game of excitable moments. And we actually told our kids that, prior to the game, we said, if you have an excitable moment, make it an excitable moment. Stay locked in, stay dialed in. But, in these type of games, it could be, just a run like that kind of decides it in the grand scheme.
And it didn't stop Granby from being able to make runs themselves to kind of make even a coach like you, who I'm sure was sweating through the entirety of the game, right? Right before half, the Granby player, all NCCC, Hines is his last name, made a basket right before half to cut the deficit to 4, 30-26.
Right.
What were you thinking going into half? Although you had a lead, Granby just made a basket, so they were kind of feeling themselves like, okay, we're still in this.
Yeah.
What tell your players at half?
I think we might have been in man-to-man that possession. What I was thinking is we can't guard Heinze. So, and we knew that coming in. He was, one of the really tough covers for us throughout his whole career. He was a tough kid to match up to man-to-man. He was big, he's strong, he could play out on the perimeter. So it was just stay with it, stay with the game plan, make a little bit of adjustments, but they weren't going to go away.
No,
It's a rivalry game and championship game, so we knew it would be a game to the end.
In Granby, again, they were fighting. They tried their best. They could never be able to regain the lead after being up 16-15.
Right.
Once again, the closest they got to was they were down by 2 with under a minute to play, about, what I write? 43.8 seconds left. But something that I think a lot of things that go unnoticed is free throw shooting. My broadcast partner always says the biggest thing that I think a lot of teams don't do is they don't make their free throws.
Right.
And Canton, at the end of the game, 5 of 8 to be able to seal the win.
Yeah. This was the best shooting team, best free throw shooting team I've had. I think we were 72, 73% as a team, which is pretty good for high school basketball. And we shot really well down the stretch. It was kind of funny, and I'm trying to remember it, but Chris Tenzar, who was a senior guard for us, was probably our best free throw shooter. I think he missed 2 that night at the end, which was very uncharacteristic for him. We did a nice job hitting free throws down the stretch. I think the biggest play that night, I don't know if you had it written down, was the offensive rebound we had on a free throw. And my guy, Jack Rose, senior, brother of Maddie, they're brothers. And to me, that was the most excitable moment in the game. We missed the free throw. I think we were maybe only up 2. And we missed the free throw, and Jack Rose just made a nice little swivel move. And I think it was to get around Heinze, who's really tough to rebound over, and just got a I call it a man's rebound, and then kicked it out, and we went back to the line and knocked down free throws to extend the lead. And I'll never forget, after he got the offensive rebound, him coming over to the bench. He gave me a chest bump, which almost put me in the 50th row, because he's a big, strong kid. But the bench was all the way out in the court. I was, if you watch the film, trying to get all the guys back.
You were like this. You were almost a bodyguard. Oh.
Yeah, man, that was the winning play of the game, in my opinion. And you don't win a game in one play, but that was a truly unselfish. Wasn't a score, wasn't a big 3 to win the game, but we talk about free throw blocking out, and that was a huge play.
There were so many quotes from after that game where, I think, and this goes to credit to you and the staff coach Archambault, that what you've been able to instill in both these young men who really believe in what you're trying to sell. And I think the one quote that really stuck to me, and that's why, again, I wrote it down. Josh Burke said, and I quote, "That is something that we pride ourselves on and is one of the most underrated parts of our game." He was referring to pulling down rebounds. I think that quote in and of itself speaks to you and the rest of the staff.
And Josh had a great game that night. I mean, he shot lights out. But, I think with this team this year in our first team meeting, we had probably 8, 9 kids that would start on any team in our league. And I knew that coming in. And team chemistry was what I, as a coach, really focused on the most of the season. I'll never forget, I sat them down in the team room and I said, "Guys, I love all you. I will do anything for each and every one of you. I want you all to be individually successful in life. But frankly, I don't care about your individual success, any of you guys this year. This is about team. This is about winning. And some of you are going to have to maybe buy into a role that you might not be 100% happy with, but you need to trust that it's about the team, it's about winning, and it's about playing for each other." And, when you looked at our bench throughout the season, I think they bought into it. They just really support each other, loved each other, and it was definitely about team.
Oh, they bought in 21-2 to end the season.
Yeah.
Number 1 in Division 4. I think if that's not buying in, I mean, it was better than that.
Yeah, it was a great season. They had a great team.
And it's sad that the season ended the way it did, both for you and every other sport during the winter, as far as the playoffs and everything.
Yep.
It's a team that we could not see how the Canton end would run. Right. But, I think, if you want to look at it from a glass half full, there's one, the silver lining is you were able to win. It may have not been a state championship, but a NCCC championship. The seniors ended off on a victory, on a win, and they could go at least, for the seniors, their careers end basically by you making sure no one's going on the court.
And it's funny because we didn't know it at the time. When the CIAC canceled the winter season, we had no idea what was coming. Credit to CIAC, they were ahead of it all. It was more anger, sadness.
Understandably so.
And totally. But then as this whole thing went on and you saw what happened in the professional world and our world, and, now you have, kids who aren't even going to get to play their spring season. So I actually look back saying, there was no better way that this season could have ended, winning a conference championship on our home court. Those kids will have that memory for a lifetime. And, it would have been great to keep playing, yes, but, with everything that happened, that was a perfect ending.
We have a couple minutes left. I love being able to go back and talk about your career, your coaching career with Granby in and of itself. Love being able, because obviously with me being able to broadcast in the NVL, I'm not able to see these other games. So it's great to be able to talk with you and learn about the program and everything. One last question for you, Coach. Thank you for being able to come on. I really do appreciate it.
Love it.
Again, I think and I hope that there's going to be a season next year.
Yeah.
We can all hope. So we'll assume
don't talk like there's not going to be.
I know. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
I know.
What is the future of Canton basketball? Can you preview? I know it's early, but it's never too early to preview the next season.
Yeah, I think we lose a tremendous senior class. We just had kids who were there for a while. That senior class, they were in our really varsity program, some of them since their freshman season. So losing that senior class, losing size, losing the Rose twins, and guard play is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to replace, but we got juniors back. Josh Burke was a junior, Ryan McGoldrick, those are two starting guards that were absolutely huge for us this season in our success. So, they'll be back. We have our kid Colin Mackin and Silas Sawtell that are going to step in the starting roles, but they played a ton of minutes last year. So, we got 4 solid kids that will be seniors. We'll plug some underclassmen and some pieces around them, but I got my work cut out next year. Probably won't be as easy and streamlined as this season. But my only hope is that we get to play, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. Fall, winter.
I could care less who's in the gym, as long as we're in the gym, because I know I miss the gym. My 13-month-old son, he loved running around the gym. He's missing the gym. The kids are missing the gym. We have Zoom meetings and I think we're all just missing sports. And I think hopefully the silver lining of this is that we all appreciate it a little bit more. We appreciate the chance to be on a team, the chance to be in the gym and be a fan and watch the game and broadcast the game. And that's, as a coach and someone that's been around the game and sees high school sports, all the little nitpicking things that you hear about, whether it's, complaining about playing time, whether it's I'm not getting enough shots, whether it's, I have an argument with this team or I don't like this coach. I hope all that stuff gets minimized a little bit because, now we can't play sports, and, to me, that's maybe a silver lining that in the end of this thing, maybe we come back a little better on the other side.
You say it so eloquently that because I've said it to my girlfriend and anyone else who wants to listen to me.
Yeah.
I will never take broadcasting as, I never took it lightly, but just overall, because not being able to do games, it sucks.
It does.
It feels very, very weird not being able to do games. I can only imagine for coaches as well.
We'll be back. We'll get back to it. And I think in the end, it'll just make it better. So.
Yeah, man. But, You know what, Coach, thanks so much for being able to come on. We ran out of time. I really do appreciate it. Being able to share the program, a little bit of history, the game, everything. It was fantastic. It really was.
Chris, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. Stay safe. Have fun interviewing all these coaches. That's something really fun. So I admire you getting to do that. All right. But I thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, Coach. Anytime. You're always welcome to come on. Anytime.
Okay. Take care.
You too, man.
Stay safe.
Wrapping up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.